All right, everyone. Steve Metrics here with Db8 Sports. Your boy DJ Triggs is connecting, and there he is. It's your boy.
DJ Triggs, what's up? I'm back.
Hey, how about that? That's what it takes for a grand entrance, man.
Boom.
And speaking of a grand entrance, definitely the way your Packers played on Thanksgiving, to me, tells me that your Packers are definitely going to be a force in the playoffs. I've been seeing that all this.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
that was wild. That was some wild stuff. Like I don't think I was ready for that. I mean, I figured we would beat the Dolphins, but I didn't think it would just be 24-3 at halftime and
Yeah,
almost
basically. Oof.
one-sided.
Yeah, like completely as one-sided as it was on Sunday with the Niners game. Just absolutely massive. It's weird because like so I bet all 3 Thanksgiving Day games and I bet my Raiders for the Black Friday game. I hit on
Ooh.
3 of the 4. So I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
I'm making a little bit of a cachet, a little bit of money on this. But the one game that I lost was your game because I thought the Dolphins would actually hang in there and keep this game a little close. I've seen how Jonnu Smith has played lately. And again, that's always been my biggest critique of Mike McDaniels is not utilizing the tight end. Well, what do you know? Jonnu Smith is like killing it, like back when he was a Tennessee Titan. And also they're running the ball really well. So like seeing all those things to me tells me that that team could travel and do well in the cold. And I'm completely wrong. It's crazy. They completely folded over like a beignet or a crepe. Like they're soft. They're 100% soft.
So I mean, we know I went on a rant last week about the Packers and people just being completely disrespectful to them. Well, guess what? Now they're top 10 in passing, they're top 5 in rushing, and they're
Yep.
top 5 in scoring. And
Yep.
by the way, Jordan Love missed a handful of games. Just saying.
A lot of games.
Or if he
man.
didn't miss,
Yeah.
if he wasn't out of the game, you could tell he was not fully, like there was one game where he was hobbling down the sideline, like
Totally.
clearly. So even if it's 4 games tops, if you want to give me 4 games, they're still top 10 in every statistical offensive category.
Right.
And
he hurt?
Now they're just blowing people out.
Exactly. He was coming back from injury in the home game against the Lions a few weeks ago, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And if I recall last year, the Packers went to Detroit and won in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And now that comes up this upcoming Thursday.
Yeah. I know. And Detroit looked pretty good in the first half. I was sitting with my brother, who's a big Lions fan, and I was like, "Yeah, man, you guys are blowing out." He was kind of bragging. I was like, "You know what? You guys deserve to brag. Do your thing." And then I was like, "But you kind of been beating up on all the bad teams." He's like, "Yeah, but that's what you're supposed to do." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why." You know what? You guys have gone through some terrible life. Like, so you enjoy it. You enjoy it.
Exactly.
And then he said some stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute. The Packers are like, they're right behind you. Like any other division, they're number 1. But you guys have been just blowing out teams. And as I'm saying that, here comes the Bears. And I'm like,
yeah.
But of course, the Bears did Bear stuff, and then we were all like, oh, he's fired.
Coach.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he's fired. I was watching that game live and just seeing those 30 seconds go by. I told everyone around me, I'm like, oh, he's done. If I'm Virginia McCaskey, I pick up the phone and say, like, don't even let him on the plane. Go all out, fire Lane Kiffin, and don't even let him on the private jet. Just give him his stuff, give him whatever he needs to get to the airport, and let him book his own flight. But he does not fly back with the team. He is fired immediately, ASAP. Granted, they were more kind. They brought him back. Then they fired him the day after. but he absolutely should have been fired on the spot. I know certain owners, like probably Mark Davis, probably owner Woody Johnson of the Jets, possibly, I don't know, what's his name, Jerry Jones. I could see those three doing that kind of thing, but Virginia McCaskey, I mean, she must be a little bit nicer, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little wild. Matty Reflus he's been playing
Terrible.
with house money for like a whole year. So
Yeah. And not only that, like seeing like what I saw from Hard Knocks, and granted, this was a really good year for Hard Knocks. I'll give them that. Even on both sides, the Giants and the Bears were both really enjoyable. But from the Bears side, like you can tell, like Eberflus, yeah, he's playing with house money. He's got nothing to worry about. He's getting fired. He's getting paid the remainder of his contract. He lives in a nice neighborhood in the north side of Chicago. He ain't going nowhere, man.
yeah,
It just is what it is.
and like what can you expect from them though? They went out and signed. They got DJ Moore a couple years ago. They got Keenan Allen. They've got Cole Kmet over there.
Yep.
They've got Oh wait. So you mean they have all these weapons and they still can't win? I thought the Bears defense was great. What happened to that great defense? Oh,
exactly.
That's right. That's right.
And when it comes to a team like that that's led by a defensive coach and your defense lets you down and really takes a step back, to me, that is very eye-opening. And to me, it's easier for a defensive coach to get fired because of a bad defense than an offensive coach to get fired because of a bad offense. I think that's just the way life works. And it's very ironic that that's kind of how it went on Thanksgiving. But I just think that like Eberflus, he's done some okay things with the defense, but really the one who's, to me, like building this team and calling the shots to me is Ryan Pace. There's weapons on offense. And when they were mounting that comeback against Detroit, man, like DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Caleb Williams, they were balling out. There's a nice throw to Cole Kmet in this as well. But like you can see that offense now under the guidance of that new offensive coordinator they have, it is starting to work. It's starting to gel. And I don't know what they're doing now. If that guy got promoted again, I know he just got promoted to OC, but like you can see the offense is starting to churn. And to be honest, like once we hit the offseason, I would think the Bears job would probably be the number one sought after job for any up and coming offensive coordinator looking to be a head coach.
I'm kind of in a mixed bag with that one because I just go off of what the people say, and most of the people I know, sounds weird, but they're Bears fans and they like to rub the Bears stuff in my face. And I mean, you heard me on the first 5 weeks of this season. I was like, wait a minute, the Bears literally haven't beaten anyone. I think they were 4-1 at one point, right?
They were pretty much the whole NFC North was X-1,
yeah,
and was top 4 in the NFL in point differential.
Yeah. And so then I stopped and I said, hey, okay, Bears fans, just wait. Just you wait. And they promised me, across all of that. They promised me this was a different year because they had Caleb Williams. They had all these stars on offense. Their defense was already great. And I said, but you haven't beaten anyone.
Right.
And they didn't agree with me. And then, Packers came to town and they were a little angry. And I said, oh, well, hey, we're just ho-humming along now. And then all of a sudden it was, well, now it's the coach's fault. And I said, well, okay, it's your coach's fault every other year too. But you have all these weapons. You have this great defense. And now I look at those numbers and their total yards, they're outside the top 20. Passing yards, they're outside the top. They're like, I don't know, outside the top 10. Rushing yards, you don't even want to go there. They
don't even exist. Yeah, they don't exist. I mean, watching their games, it's like Mike McCarthy in his heyday. Like there's just no running back.
Yep. And now, guess what? they've fallen backwards in points allowed per game to the
Yeah.
point that they're tied with the Green Bay Packers, who, guess what? They're moving this
Oh,
way,
they're moving up. They're moving
and the
up.
Bears are
Yep.
moving this way.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely what's going on. But the thing is they have a franchise quarterback.
Yep.
Watching Caleb play, that kid's got something. He is making plays when plays completely break down. The throw to DJ Moore that was on the sideline, he did that toe tap, was slick, man. It was so slick. And I'm in a room full of Lions fans, and I'm excited because A, I needed the Bears to cover, and B, they were mounting a pretty good comeback.
Yeah.
All the Lions were dead silent, just dead silent. And I mean, the flaws that I see in Detroit still exist. I still see no mobility from Jared Goff. I still feel if they lose Sonic or Knuckles at running back, and they're already getting a little beat up on defense.
Yep.
And we saw the way Chicago kind of manipulated their way to come back in this game. Well, I mean, if we go team for team in the playoff picture for the NFC, pretty much every single one of those teams, except for the Rams and the Vikings, are going to be mobile quarterback oriented teams. The entire NFC East, the Green Bay Packers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and possibly San Francisco or Arizona, all of those teams have mobility. And that seems like that's a concern for that defense of Detroit.
Yeah, that's true. And I told myself I wasn't going to come in here and bash Detroit and, whatever else. But
I was coming in like that.
Detroit, they are starting to rub me the wrong way for a team that has a bunch of flaws.
Totally.
I mean, their wide receiver core. Now, I will give them this. Tim Patrick showed up, and I was very excited about that. And
yeah, I like that guy.
Laugh a little bit that nobody in Detroit knows who he is. So
yeah, but in the fantasy world, we know him because we love him from his time in Denver that got cut short.
Good times.
Absolutely.
But I'm also going to go through their schedule, and I'm going to say, okay, the teams that they beat, they barely snuck by, and that you need that. You absolutely need that.
You do.
But then I started to dig in a little deeper, and I said, wait a minute, the Rams were hurt when you beat the Rams.
Rams are on fire right now.
They are on fire right now, and you might have to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah, you do. And they played well against them that week too.
They did. And remember, I mean, they were out without all their receivers at the beginning of the season. They literally were throwing to anybody that they were throwing to you and I out there at a certain point.
I can catch a pass.
I mean, yeah, we won't get very far compared to these
I'm not going far.
guys, but we'll catch it.
Yeah, we'll catch it.
And then I'm like, okay, they snuck by Minnesota with 2 points. Okay.
Right.
Green Bay with a beat up Jordan Love almost came back in that game after he threw that. Basically, the game was won by a pick six where he threw it underhand falling out of the end zone.
Oh, gotcha.
Houston wasn't full strength at the time. 3-point win.
Sure.
And then now they just played Chicago and they lost another defensive lineman and they won by 3. And I'm like, okay, well now you got to play Minnesota again. You got to play Buffalo. You have to play Green Bay. And at the end of the season, maybe a scrappy San Francisco team.
Totally.
Who's now got Christian McCaffrey back.
Yep.
And, they might be loaded and ready to go by that point.
Exactly.
And maybe fighting for a playoff spot.
Yep.
I'm a little I'm not going to say Detroit's going to lose a bunch of games. I won't go that far. But Philadelphia's 1 loss behind them.
Right. And Green Bay is only 2.
Yep.
And come Thursday, that number can become, come Thursday, that can become 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's pretty, it's to me, it's not as good as it looks. And to me, as even on the AFC side, and again, I watched the game yesterday. To me, Kansas City has that same thing going on as well, where they're X-1, but they don't quite look right at being X-1. And I see that in both Kansas City and Detroit.
I just went over this with someone talking about Kansas City. And like, yeah, they're X-1, but all of their players are coming back. Isaiah Pacheco's coming back.
Yeah, that's big.
They got DeAndre Hopkins only a couple weeks ago.
Yes, he's great.
Their start, and Travis Kelce looks like he's actually playing football now. I mean, he's catching passes. 5 weeks ago, we didn't even know Travis Kelce was in the league.
Yeah, he had to be banged up with something. He typically is about once per season lately over the last 3 years. He's getting some kind of nagging injury that somehow kind of vanishes come the postseason. But yeah, you are right that like there is a definite difference between Kansas City and Detroit. To me, Kansas City is much better than Detroit. Yeah. But I think Kansas City, I like them. I like the way they're built. I do feel that they're still going to be just a tad short of making it the distance. But to me, I think Detroit really will come up short. I just don't think Detroit is anywhere as close to getting to that real Super Bowl champion position as Kansas City is. Even though Kansas City is like not looking quite great, you're spot on that they're bringing guys back.
Yeah.
So I think that's much better. And not only that, you can just see that offense is really starting to gel. There was even like one missed deep throw to Xavier Worthy. And like, dude, and he's been on my team this whole year. I've never wavered on dropping him. Some people said I kind of should. But I've never thought that way. The only thing that came up to me was possibly dealing him for Brock Bowers. That's about it. I think Xavier Worthy is an absolute home run hitter that you have to have on your fantasy team.
And that's the crazy part is like with Kansas City, someone got upset with me that they had Kareem Hunt and they're like, oh, Pacheco's back and now he's going to take time. And I go, yeah,
that's how it works.
They don't care about fantasy. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and those cats, they don't care about fantasy.
They are fantasy football. They're going to do what is right for them.
Right. So now you're telling me they have Isaiah Pacheco back, and by the time the playoffs start in, a handful of weeks, they're going to be ready to grind. Now you have Kareem Hunt, who's actually got a season under his belt as the number one guy. Samaje Perine's out there. Carson Steele was a pickup at the beginning of the season. Remember that guy?
Yeah, he's a good fullback, to be honest. He really is to me, he's Alec Ingold.
Right. And then now you got D-Hop, you got Justin Watson, who we really like, Xavier Worthy, Mecole Hardman's back, Juju Smith-Schuster, and back. Guess what? Coming off IR, we just got Hollywood Brown. Like, they literally have
holy smokes,
2 full lineups, and I didn't even say Travis Kelce's name. 2 full lineups of pass catchers where you're like, oh, Patrick Mahomes has another guy coming back?
And Noah Gray's like in
pretty
the time
solid.
That exactly. He's real solid. In the time that Kelsey's been banged up, Noah Gray's carrying the rock. And if this were to be Travis Kelce's next season, Noah Gray to me going into next season would be a highly, highly valued tight end.
Right. And that's the difference I wanted to say between Kansas City winning it 2 times in a row. And, I don't want to see them win it 3 times in a row just for, sake of history. It'd be cool. Yeah. But Detroit's got these guys they're missing. And like you said, if Sonic and Knuckles, if one of those guys goes down, they're a whole different team. If Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down, and I would never wish an injury on anyone, but if one of those guys goes down at any position,
they're in deep trouble.
We just saw, like I said, Kareem Hunt, he ran the rest of the season. Carson Steele, he was the fantasy pickup of the week for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce is doing his thing. And 6 wide receivers.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Yeah, their team is absolutely loaded. They have as many options at wideout now as Green Bay.
Yeah.
And it's kind of why, it's kind of why I've been thinking about it. And I got to go back to the start of the season when a lot of the talking heads were kind of making their Super Bowl predictions. To me, the one that is kind of in my mind, and I really kind of think that the AFC Championship game is going to be what we saw basically about a week ago, I want to say, or maybe a little bit under that. Yeah, just a little bit over a week ago. I really think the Super Bowl on the AFC side at this point, I think my Texans pick will be wrong. Bummer. But I think the AFC championships gave be either Buffalo or Kansas City. But I got to go back to the talking head, Peter Schrager. He's like 3 for 6 on nailing the exact Super Bowl matchups in like the last 6 years. I think he's going to nail it again. I could see it very much being Kansas City against Green Bay. That is what he's predicted. And again, too, I've never wavered. I truly think the most complete team in the NFC, minus win-losses, just build and looking at these guys health-wise, everything. I really think the best team in the NFC is Green Bay, and I've never had any time to waver. Even with a banged-up Jordan Love, you kind of knew he was coming back. I was a little concerned about the knee injury. But, man, like Green Bay to me is really that team that is looking really, really good in the NFC.
And the thing about it is they're 6 games up on the 8 seed. So it's going to sound kind of strange, but they're automatically in now. They're 3 games up on the 8 seed, which is Arizona, but they beat them, so they're technically 4 games up.
Yep.
And it's like you've only got 6 games left. So are they just going to completely melt down for the next 6? Probably not.
No.
And what is Arizona going to do? Are they going to win a couple games here and there, maybe lose a couple games? The Packers are literally playing Detroit, Seattle, New Orleans, Minnesota, and Chicago.
That's a lot of bad football.
Yeah, there's a handful of bad football teams in there.
Yeah. And the thing is too, like I think I'll watch an Arizona game probably like tomorrow morning or whatever. But
am I losing?
I just don't think Kyler Murray is cutting it. I know their record is looking good and all, but it's kind of a weird schedule with the way that things are shaping up in the NFC West. This is a really beat up San Francisco team. It's been a beat up LA Rams team. I think if we regress to the mean, I think we'd ultimately see that our top 2 in the NFC West would be San Francisco and LA. Mm-hmm. And then to me, I think Seattle is that up and rising kind of team. But again, I think Arizona will be held back by the quarterback play of Kyler Murray and the fact that like he can't see over offensive linemen.
And that's the thing about the West is everyone's 1 game apart. So
yeah, they are.
San Francisco's starting to get their players back. I mean, CMC can give you 2 games just on his back alone.
Yes,
so
he can. Yep.
Do I see them as, like, think about how bad San Francisco is. Their point differential is 0.
Dang.
With no Brandon Ayuk, no Christian McCaffrey, no Brock Purdy, 0.
And a banged up Joey Bosa lately.
Yeah.
Like that's monstrous impressive. I am impressed by San Francisco. And the thing is too, I mean, their running back core is possibly the best in the NFL. Like I think they have a great running back core between CMC, Jordan Mason, and then the rarely seen Isaiah Guerrero is just an animal.
He was.
I love their running back core, and that will carry them, especially in the postseason if they make it.
Yeah, the playoffs are kind of, I don't want to say set because I mean there's some teams that could still get in.
There's about 2 teams in the NFC that are kind of wiggling.
The difference between the 7 and the 8 in the AFC is 2 games. So Denver's got the 7 seed at 7-5, and then you've only got Indianapolis and Miami at 5-7. Everybody else after them is basically out of it.
Only Cincinnati's going to have a chance to get in.
Well, Cincinnati's 4-7, so
I know.
Like it's gonna, it would be real tough.
I'm just saying of those 3, Cincinnati, Indy, and Miami, Cincinnati is by far the best team of those 3.
Yeah, but I mean, Indy would literally have to lose 3 games in a row, and Cincy would have to go off completely. Well, let me take that back. Cincy would have to win every game, and Denver would have to lose 3 of the next 5. So
I don't see Denver losing games.
no, at least not,
I don't.
and not Cincinnati blowing off a bunch of wins.
Right.
So the entire AFC is kind of set.
Yeah.
And then the NFC, like I said, besides the West, it's kind of set too. Green Bay at 9 games, they're the 6th seed right now.
Totally.
And Minnesota obviously has got 9. They're the 5 seed.
Yep.
And Washington's got the 7 seed, and I don't see them just blowing a bunch of games off. And they got 7 wins. So it's basically whoever comes out of the East or the West, I should say, and keeps going, which could be a scary team. I mean, the Rams could beat a team. San Francisco could beat a team. If the wide receivers in Seattle start, going off, they could beat a team.
Yeah, they could.
And then obviously whoever puts it together in the South, but I don't expect anything from the South.
Yeah, I like Tampa Bay, but man, try watching the Atlanta games right now. That team is a horrible, horrible watch. Kirk Cousins is right next to, in terms of talent level, he's right next to Aaron Rodgers. Like, they got nothing at this point, nothing left in the tank.
I want to take a shot for you because I know you're a good guy, so you don't take shots at people. He's right down there with Derek Carr. I'm just saying.
Oh, wow. That's a bummer, man. These guys that mess up their Achilles, man, like at this age of them being a quarterback, it's just not coming back. And like, you can't take every snap under shotgun. When you do, you just foreshadow everything to the defense.
Oh man, I have to check something before I say this out loud, just so I don't look like a complete noob. So there is a team in the AFC South or the NFC South who is on have won 2 of their last 3, right?
Yep.
And they are only 3 games out of first place.
Okay.
Carolina Panthers.
That's who I was going to go with. I was going with Carolina because I'm like, man, Carolina's kind of playing kind of hot lately.
Listen to who they got. They got Tampa twice. Twice. Dallas, Arizona, Atlanta. I'm not going to put Philly in there. They'll probably lose that one. But
okay,
that's 5 winnable games.
Yeah, it is. Dave Canales wins all of that and gets into the postseason. That's my NFL 2024 Coach of the Year. And that bet that I placed, I still have it. Like, I still have that bet. I still have that receipt. I'm telling you, man. I did that from the game that he won against us. I'm like, where the heck are the Carolina Panthers coming from? It is very winnable for them to win that division. If he wins both games against Tampa, they're going to win that division.
Because I mean, if you
they're gonna.
I'm saying this. If you look at the losses that they have, I mean, besides the New Orleans loss, they lost to the Chargers playoff team.
Yep.
Cincinnati, who we're
Good
really
team.
big on.
Yep.
Now Chicago was hot at the beginning. Let's give them that.
Yeah.
Washington and Denver,
tough teams.
Yeah. And now they're playing the subpar teams of New Orleans, who they beat, the Giants, who they beat, and they lost to Kansas City by 3. They put up 27 on that defense.
Yeah, that team is turning the corner, and I would definitely say at this point going into next season, they're going to get better. And not only that, they're going to be lower in the NFL draft potentially unless they go on this heater. Carolina going into next season's looking good. That's for sure.
Hey, and let me throw this name out there because no one will ever say this in the history of ever. Top 5 in yards right now, Chuba Hubbard.
Wow. That's crazy, man. That's no debate. That's no debate right there, man. Not even once. Put it on the board. There you go, man.
He only needs 124 yards, and he's got 1,000.
Dang. Man. And like, I liked the kid they drafted this year that came in recovering from the ACL injury, but there's just no chance he's going to see the light of day because their run game is so solid that like the two backs they have between Chuba and I forgot the other guy they have, but like they're solid and they're getting it done. And Dave Canales, he's an offensive guru, and he did really well with Baker Mayfield and that Buccaneers offense last year. And in year one, he's already flipping the script on the Panthers. The future is definitely looking good for the Carolina Panthers. I love it.
Yeah, the kid you're talking about is Jonathan Brooks, but the other running back you were talking about is Miles Sanders, who's on IR right now.
Yes, yep. So Jonathan Brooks could be seeing a little potential playing time.
Yeah, but I mean Hubbard, I can't believe he's at 1,000. Like that'll be his first 1,000-yard season. He's got 7 touchdowns. Like the dude he's playing ball when everyone else is like, he's top 10 in touchdowns. Like, what?
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty bananas right there, man. That is really bananas. Looking really solid. Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
Yeah,
I would have never thought he was going to be that valuable for fantasy, but yeah, he's knocking it out of the park, man.
Hey, don't look up now, but Bryce Young he just got over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, and that's speaking a lot. And not only that, like they gotta like squeeze every ounce of rookie contract juice out of that lemon, because there's no way they're at this point they're getting ready to unload a big time contract onto that guy. It just
He's
isn't.
2 weeks in a row without an interception. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean that's big for him, man. That is really, really big. So
that's the best I got. His QBR is 35, so I don't know.
Oh man, yeah, that's not looking so hot. That's quite the bummer, man. That is quite the bummer there.
I had to kill all of that momentum.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we got there. I guess that's pretty much it. That's what we got for the NFC South and the Carolina Panthers. But yeah, it is interesting how that shakes up. I guess another thing I want to look at, just kind of like how things are going, like fantasy wise, for like guys like Chuba Hubbard and whatnot. I definitely like notice with my team, I'm able to like rope back some guys that I really liked going into the season, and they are now on my fantasy team. And like these are really good players, and it kind of tells me too that like, when it comes to like building your team and you know that there's like a solid, strong player out there who's really starting to find their stride and they're going to be a high draft pick, like don't overthink things. Like I tried to get a little cute and creative with Zamir White. That was a complete bust. But a guy like James Cook is now on my team. He was a guy I was kicking around.
Wait a minute.
Started my draft with.
Timeout.
It is a little bit of shenanigans, though.
There was shenanigans.
It is shenanigans. We have no bench. We have no bench in our league.
Totally fine. I got some shenanigans on my side. I just got Garrett Wilson. So.
Oh my! Yeah, you're right. You're right there with me, bud.
But I was so heartbroken. Because I made that trade for Brock Bowers a couple weeks ago, and Brock Bowers has just been lighting it up. I mean, he was 10 out of 14 targets. 140 and a tud this week. And I had to drop friend of the show, Kate Otten.
And I got him. Don't worry, pal. I took the assist. I take the ball and I'm hiking.
He's been really bad for the last couple of weeks. So like it hurt me because he carried me for quite some time. When I was just losing running back, wide receiver, quarterback, and my whole bench was my whole team was on the IR at one point. I've even had to drop a kicker. Like that's how bad this has gotten.
Yeah. But the only thing though, like looking at you, I think you're kind of a victim of the bye week, which is going to happen in our league. Also the fact that you went up against 2 really solid teams on either side of the bye week against the tight end. Other than that, like he's had a ton of green on his schedule, and he's got more green coming up here in the next 2 weeks with Carolina and Vegas,
which is totally fine. But I mean, I didn't really want another tight end just sitting there. You know, you're a 12 personnel guy.
I am, and I have it right now.
I
I
would not be
absolutely have it.
surprised. But
Uh-huh.
like it was one of those things where K Dotton can get you a solid 10. He's going to get you 10
Right.
every week,
Yep.
be totally okay. But I'm starting to get to that point where I'm like, okay, I don't really need 10s right now. I can go a week where a guy gives me 5, but I also can get Garrett Wilson, who's going to give me 25 a
Oh
couple weeks
gosh,
ago.
yeah. Yeah, he's
And
insane.
then when they do end up benching Aaron Rodgers, like Devontae Adams might not play again, and then whoever's backup quarterback XYZ, is it Tyrod Taylor? I can't remember, but
Yeah, it's Tyrod Taylor. Like,
like
I think they should go to Tyrod Taylor now.
he can put some balls into Garrett Wilson, who may be looking to get 1,000 yards or something because of a contract, or I don't know,
Yeah,
something like that. And
totally.
to me, I'm like, okay, there's more juice in that squeeze right now for a Garrett Wilson than a K Dotton.
Yes, there is.
And
And
especially, you know how much I hate this about fantasy football, but Keenan Allen just scored 2 touchdowns, man, for real.
yeah, I'm with you on that because Keenan was on my team for a hot minute. But again, with like the lack of chemistry on the offense, and he was getting a little beat up, I had to part ways with him. Like, I know he's getting better now, but I think that's also speaking volumes that the new offensive coordinator that's calling the shots, that chemistry that he's working into Caleb Williams to get that with Keenan Allen. Even DJ Moore is looking a lot better, and it's not the Rome Odunze show 24/7. That's starting to show. So I think this is truly more of a reflection that we're getting deeper into the season. Plus, the new offensive coordinator is really, really starting to gel
Dude,
with Caleb Williams.
he's averaging 11 targets a game over the final 2 here. Like, no,
But that's what he should have been doing from day one.
he did.
He is,
Day one,
yeah,
he had 11 targets, and then he was just kind of a dude.
vanished.
And even
Yeah.
in this past game, the guy had 73 yards. He caught 5 passes. 2 of them were touchdowns. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like
I
I
mean,
run into this every week, and I just want to punch fantasy football in the face.
I know it happens, but I am very glad to see that the Keenan Allen that we're used to seeing is the one that is actually showing up on each of these Sundays now. Like that's the Keenan Allen we know and love, and that's the way it should be, barring any like crazy injury. And he's had a few nasty injuries, not in the recent past, but like Keenan Allen should be producing like that. So I absolutely love it.
I mean, I don't because he's with the Bears. But in another note, like I'm so close to making the playoffs. I have a great shot at just running the rest of my schedule here, and
Gotcha.
then it's just I run into that a guy who has 3 touchdowns on the whole season, and he gets 2 in one game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when you run across that. It just is. But yeah, I mean, like there's that going on. I mean, I'm just looking at the rest of my roster here, and I'm seeing at least 1, 2, 3, almost 4 guys that like going into the season, I've always been kind of like bullish on these guys. I mean, you and I were both pretty good, pretty bullish on Bo Nix, and Bo Nix has quarterbacked for both of our teams.
Hey, I waited till the last round. I was a smart guy.
It was smart. It was actually really, really smart. And I think going into next season, I think that strategy is actually really going to pay off because our league is going to be 32 teams deep.
Yep.
So going to a strategy where you see a guy who can be on the rise and do well with the coach that he's with is really going to pay off. So, and we got that both. We got that in Bo Nix and we got it in Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was definitely going a lot higher than Bo Nix, but Bo Nix is showing up to be pretty solid. So I like that. Alec Pierce was a guy who played on my fantasy team this year. That guy's been hit and miss a lot. But the thing with Alec Pierce is he is just like Xavier Worthy. He is a home run hitting guy. So if I don't get the home run, if I get 5, 6, 7 points out of him, I'm good with that. But there are going to be days where Alec Pierce gets you like 25 because he can just get an absolute 70-yard bomb and take it to the house. So I saw that last season. I have it this year. I like it. Again, the James Cook thing is kind of a fluke, but I like that guy. And then the other one that I had last season, I haven't had this guy for too long a time, but the few times I've played with the guy, he's actually produced. Nick Westbrook-Akine on the Tennessee Titans.
I knew it.
I love the guy. Like, the guy's been I haven't started him much, but in the handful of times I've started him, I've almost gotten double-digit points almost every single game I've played the guy between the last 2 seasons.
Since week 6, he's basically been averaging double-digit points.
Yeah, and if you click his player profile on Sleeper, the remainder of his NFL schedule is nothing but green on fantasy. Tennessee is playing against lackluster secondaries the rest of the way out for the remainder of the 2024 NFL season. So I think he's a huge pickup. I think too, if you're a Calvin Ridley owner, I think you're going to get some production out of him too. But yeah, those are kind of like a handful of guys that I've always liked, and it's kind of cool, like getting them like leftovers on Thanksgiving, and they're showing up on my fantasy team again.
Leftovers are delicious, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I was at a place where you don't really have leftovers. It's kind of like a banquet style, like a old country buffet kind of Thanksgiving. It was really good. It was really good. Awesome place, cool. But this is a place that I don't have leftovers because it's not somebody's house, so that's okay. Yeah, I really, really like the leftovers in fantasy for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of leftovers on my bench in fantasy, so I'm kind of I don't know how I'm feeling right now, but I am projected to win one of my games, trying to get to the playoffs here.
Okay.
One of my games I'm projected to win by 15, which
dang.
It's a low scoring league. It's 75-60,
Okay.
but I left Tua on my bench this week.
Because
I didn't think he was going to put up 2 touchdowns, and they were mostly garbage time touchdowns.
Yeah, anyway. It's garbage time stuff. Yeah.
But he ended up scoring 19. I have Russell Wilson against Cincinnati as my starter right now.
Yeah, I do that.
And I don't feel as bad. I'm pretty sure Russell will get me like 15 points, so it'll even out. But
yeah,
little bit of points on the bench is kind of sad. And then the guy, Keenan Allen, right? I know I just ranted about Keenan Allen.
Yeah, totally.
Sam Laporta on my bench.
Oh, no.
Sam Laporta had 6 yards and 3 catches. 2 of them were touchdowns.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was either last season or the year before, Mike Evans had a similar stat line on that, where it's basically just 2 catches, no yardage, and 2 touchdowns. And it's massive, especially in our league where touchdowns are worth 8. Like, that's cool, man.
But I mean, you know what? I have TJ Hawkinson starting over him because I thought it would just be a safer gamble. TJ just went off for 7 and 114 last week, so maybe he'll make up for a touchdown.
Yeah, totally, man, totally. I mean, going back to that Tua decision, like you, I mean, granted, I was in a state that I could actually not gamble on individual fantasy football players, so I was kind of bummed out about that. But I was actually going into that betting that Tua would throw an interception. He did not. But you and I were along the same path that, like, he probably wouldn't have that great of a game. And I think you're spot on that a lot of his stat production is off of garbage time because, like, his numbers look great, but his QBR is, like, garbage.
I mean, they were losing 24-3.
Yeah. So he's going to be throwing nonstop at that point. And not only that, Green Bay is going to go into prevent coverage anyways. So it's just kind of is what it is. They're just going to make sure that, like, things aren't just clicking 24/7. And that's pretty much it. That game was pretty much over after 3 quarters. Just saying.
Yeah, so that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, it is. But when it comes to the decisions that you're making for your fantasy team with TJ Hawkinson and Russell Wilson, I think those are definitely the right decisions and the right path that you should be going down.
Very safe.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is, like, in fantasy, you got to play the matchups. If you see that you're getting a much better matchup on Russell Wilson against Cincinnati, And I've watched Bengals games lately, and as much as I like Joe Burrow and that offense, their secondary is trash. It is straight trash, man.
Definitely bunny.
So yeah, so I think you're in a good spot with that. Plus, you being a Packer fan, you know that your secondary is solid with the guys you got. So I think that's the right call to bench Tua Tagovailoa and go with Russell Wilson for sure.
Totally. I know we don't have very much time, but who do you got in waiver wires, or is it's just pick up who you can now?
Yeah, at this point, it's like, man, it is just pick up who you can. There was one guy who I really liked in our league. I mean, he's probably been picked up in a lot of other leagues. The one guy that I was kind of keeping my eye on, I was a little discombobulated with my work schedule, but Marquez Valdez-Scantling is a guy that I really, really like right now. I just kind of seen how things are clicking in that Saints offense. I think he's pretty solid. One other guy who I kind of think is out there, who I think is going to start getting into the fold soon, even though he has like virtually zero fantasy production since getting dealt, is Deontay Johnson. I would not sleep on this guy, man. Like he's a guy that like we know has like just insane separation when it comes to just getting away from that closest defender. And not only that, like he was having good production in Carolina with Andy Dalton and Bryce Young. Lamar Jackson's much better than both those guys. They are coming up on a bye week next week. But then going into the fantasy playoffs, it's the Giants, Steelers, Texans, Browns. Only the Steelers are considered a good secondary of that bunch. Deontay Johnson to me is a really, really good pickup come after that week 14 bye week for sure.
You know who I'm going to throw out there just because I'm so high? Future playoff team. Adam Thielen is still out there. That dude's he's a production like beast.
Yes, he is.
And especially with some of the guys that have been let go over there, Deontay Johnson, for instance. He came out and had 3 catches for 57 yards last week, throwing a touchdown here and there.
Yeah. Then that becomes double digits. Absolutely. Yeah, he's a real cool guy. I mean, he's a guy that I would have liked to have on my fantasy team too, but because of IR spots and those kind of shenanigans we got, he just couldn't cut it on my team. But Adam Thielen is a guy I like. I've played with him in the past. I've played with him as a Minnesota Viking. He's pretty good too. It's cool stuff, man. I'm with you on Thielen.
And then another big one that I saw this week, just because it looks like he's going to get a lot more of the workload because of J.K. Dobbins being down, is going to be Gus Edwards.
Interesting. Yeah. Gus Edwards is definitely a guy you got to get with Dobbins being down. It's kind of a bummer, like really cool comeback story for him throughout this season. But it looks like his season might just be over.
Yeah, that knee got banged up pretty good.
Yeah, it did. It did. So yeah, those are some of the cool picks we got there. And speaking of picks, what games we got this week?
Ooh, see, so this is going to be kind of weird because like half the week's over.
It is. It's kind of weird.
Yesterday and like I don't know, there's just games everywhere on the list. But let's go. Oh, I almost said San Diego. That was weird. LA,
San Diego
is a 1.5 point favorite on the road to Atlanta.
Geez, 1.5 at that point. Like, give me the, just give me the money line. I'll just flat out take. I'll just flat out take the Chargers. Oh wait, is it? Oh wait, it's even worse.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, it is worse. The money line is worse than the spread. Wow. So yeah, take the Chargers to win by at least 2 points. Like you can totally get by with that.
If we want Carolina to make the playoffs, that's going to be my rooting interest from now on. Atlanta goes down.
Yeah, I just hate watching Falcons games. Bijan Robinson should like demand to get traded. It sucks.
Remember when they said all we need is a quarterback? No.
Yeah, all we need is a quarterback. Yeah.
Pittsburgh 4-point dogs on the road to Cincinnati.
I don't think that is correct. I think they will either win that game outright or they definitely like lose it by like a last second field goal.
Same.
I will, yeah, I'll take Steelers to cover for sure.
Houston, 6-point favorites on the road to Jacksonville, and I'm going Houston.
So there is something. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm mixing up the matchup. But yeah, I will take the Texans. I think we're basically on the last straw of like Doug Peterson, and I think this is possibly the game that gets that guy fired.
Hey, but I mean, Trevor Lawrence just got paid all this money. What do we mean? That guy,
Yeah,
get him out of here. You remember, I was done with him like 5 or 6 weeks ago. Get him out of here.
wow, that's crazy.
I mean,
That's
they're
no debate.
2-9. That
Yeah, they are easily one of the worst teams in the NFL, and it doesn't even make sense. When the season started, I had them as a playoff team, and I'm shocked that they fell this far from grace.
this one's interesting.
Sure.
Arizona 3.5-point dogs on the road to Minnesota.
3.5 dogs to Minnesota. I feel like there's something personal in this team, but there really isn't because Patrick Peterson is no longer there anymore.
Larry Fitzgerald's gone.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one here, man.
No Anquan Bolden.
Exactly. Like all these guys of yesteryear are just no longer Arizona Cardinals. 3.5 for Minnesota. I don't know. I get a weird feeling on this game. They're not used to seeing a guy like Kyler Murray. I can see this game being a weird one. Not only that, I mean, the way James Conner runs is really, really solid. I'll take Arizona to cover this game.
We're going all away here. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is.
So now we got Indy at New England. Indy's favored by 4. And I'm just going to put it out there. I can't do it. Indy's not that good.
Yeah, they're not that good. Yeah.
And we love Drake May. We do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I would just go straight up. I would just go New England straight up. This is an outdoor game. This is not inside the dome, inside Lucas Oil Stadium. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'll just take New England straight up money line.
Seattle 2.5 underdogs at the Jets.
That's interesting because I'm looking at the spread on this game, and the spread is even. Actually, everything on this game is even. The spread and the money line. This is straight up a pick 'em.
Wow.
Yeah, if this is a straight up pick 'em, I'll take the Seahawks.
I really want to, but I know someone that's a Seahawks fan, so I'm going to go against them.
All right. That's fair.
Tennessee 5.5-point dogs at Washington.
So we were kind of talking about some stuff with Tennessee earlier in the show. I like the way Tennessee's playing. It's kind of sneaky. I will take Tennessee to cover.
That defense is really good, so I'm with you. Let's go Tennessee.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Big game.
Oh, man.
Tampa Bay 7-point favorites at Carolina. You already know where I'm going.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. That is way too much. Yeah, I'm with you on this. I will take Carolina to gosh, I almost want to just take them straight up to win.
Let them cook.
Let them cook, man. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. I think, gosh, if you gotta like just take your money and just let it ride, it's got to be here on the Carolina.
Let him cook. Let him cook. I said, let him cook.
Yeah.
True story.
I'm with you on that, man. Yeah, true story, man. Panthers straight up pick them.
Rams 3.5-point favorites at New Orleans.
I didn't know New Orleans was actually still playing football. So for those reasons, I am taking the Rams.
Yeah, I would have a cool bunch of stats, but I don't need them. We're just gonna go with the Rams.
You don't need them. Yeah, the Saints are just straight up trash. Except for MVS. He's good.
I mean, if you're a Packer fan, you don't think so. But
I know, but for fantasy, man, like, dude, just watch that guy play, man. That guy's running all over the place.
All right. So I don't know what happened to this defense, which is why I'm going to go against them. Philly, 2.5-point dogs at Baltimore.
So to me, this is a very easy game to pick because I know how good this team is against the run. So good that I would actually have them winning by more than the spread. I would definitely. Oh man, I hate the way they structured the numbers though. The spread isn't all that different from the money line, so you might as well just take the money line at this point. Or if you want to scale up. I can see the Ravens win. Oh man, 3 is a tricky number though. Yeah, I would probably just straight up take the money line. Because for those reasons, I think the Ravens will absolutely win this game.
The only reason that I'm gonna go with Philly, the Ravens are the second worst pass defense in the NFL.
That's exactly why I like that, because I have serious concerns about Jalen Hurts. I know that guy can sling it. He can really sling the deep ball, but I think that's what they're going to have to focus on is like, hey, just make sure you, if you go cover, they're going to have to go cover 2 almost the entire game. If they just stick to that and double cover the guy where they think Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball, I think it's going to work because they can absolutely shut down the run.
Hey, understandable. At least it'll be a good game.
Yeah, that game is going to be fun to watch.
Buffalo is a 7-point favorite at home with San Francisco coming in Sunday night.
Yeah, I would want to check the injury line on this. The money line's not too bad. It's only like minus 250 on the Bills. So I'd probably just take Bills on the money line on this just to be safe. But man, if you're playing with the spread, Bills by 6.5, it's kind of a lot. I just don't know who is all coming back in this game. Like, is Brock Purdy going to be playing quarterback? Is Nick Bosa coming back in this game? I think all of those things really matter. I know Bosa's replacement actually played kind of well against Green Bay. But I would probably, if they are coming back, I would take the 49ers to cover. And that is on the condition of both Bosa and Brock Purdy.
Well, I'm going San Francisco just because, I don't know. I don't really feel Buffalo that much.
Okay.
All right. Last but not least, Monday Night Football. Cleveland, 5.5-point dogs at Denver. I mean, this one's pretty easy.
Yeah, for me on this one, I am taking Denver to win by more than 5.5. I think they can definitely win this game by a touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
If not, or they could just do it with 2 field goals.
I'm going to say 24-17. Make it easy.
Yeah. I like the way Jameis Winston plays, but again, he's still reckless. You can get a turnover off him, work it the other way. That can be a 10-point swing like that.
True story.
Yep.
That's all we got.
That's all we got, man. So I like it. We're looking pretty good here. I think we'll be back same time, same place next week, guys. I don't know. We might do 3:00 afternoon Central. I'll keep you guys informed if that's kind of the way things are shaping up. That's what we're looking here, man. So I'm Steve Metrics. That's your boy
DJ Triggs,
and that's No Debate.